top seed here, continuing his charge against Kiran George in the men's singles. And looking at the draw, that was a fantastic performance by Kiran George against Obayashi in the quarterfinals. Kunlavut Vitidsarn overcoming Liu Liang from China. Winner of this match will play either Wang Zhengxing or Cho Gan-yop, and of course we'll be watching that match a little bit later on today.
다음은 선수를 소개합니다. 태국의 쿨라붓 바티스타란.
Kunlavut Vitidsarn, Thailand.
And here he comes, The View, or as he's known in Thailand. He's had a very interesting 2024 in that he's, of course, finished runner-up to Victor Axelsen at the Olympics, silver medalist there. Still currently world champion. Of course, the World Championship's not played in Olympic years, so he's going to hold that title until next year, but hasn't won a title this year, and that's what everyone is hoping that Kunlavut can do right here. Of course, standing in his way is Kiran George. Quarterfinal in Switzerland and the Indonesia Masters, the two results of note for Kiran. And as for Kunlavut, well, third at the Arctic Open, the Indonesia Open, China Open, and was the second at the Olympics, runner-up also in France, third at the Indonesia Open, the Malaysia Open, and Badminton Asia Championships as well, but still no title. 2-1 up in the head-to-head. That was at the Indonesia Masters the last time they met. And that's Satyawan Mahadu as the umpire for this one. And he'll be joined by David Evans in the service judge position. Well, he's only 23 years old now, but already has cemented his position as the top Thai men's singles player. In fact, there hasn't been this much of a furore over a Thai men's singles player, with all due respect, since the lines of Bunsak Ponsana. But Kunlavut has taken a very quiet road to his success, and a lot of people wrote him off after the World Championships, but then that runner-up position at the Olympics showed that he is very much the big game player. Now, he right now is ranked 5 in the world, so that's his run to the semi-finals. Chong, Panichapon and Liu all under 40 minutes, except for that round 1 66-minute encounter, which was a bit of a scare for him to drop that game. Kiran George, very much the up-and-coming men's singles player, following the likes of Lakshya Sen, HS Pranoy, of course. I mean, there are just so many players in each discipline now for Indian badminton, but Kiran would love to get a title here if he could. Those were his results coming to the semi-final. Yeonhai Deng, Chi Yu-jen and Takuma Obayashi, as I said, the number 5 seed in straight games at 39 minutes. That was a solid performance from the young 24-year-old. And there is confirmation of our umpire. And there's David Evans in the service judge position.
Ready to play?
Now, Kiran George has picked up a couple of titles at Super 100 level. That was the Odisha Open in 2022 and the Indonesia Masters Super 100 in 2023. Rajawat and Takahashi were his two opponents for those winners. So a step up to Super 300 for him would be a welcome boost indeed. For Kunlavut. Well, as I said, runner-up in 2024, but he has picked up wins at Super 300 level, German Open, and the Thailand Open at Super 500. That was in 2022, 2023, and also Super 750, the India Open, was also in 2023. But it's really up to you to decide which is more important, a BWF World Tour title.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Kunlavut Vitidsarn, Thailand. And on my left, Kiran George, India. Kiran George to serve, love all, play.
Well, as I was saying just before, Satyawan Mahaju made his opening announcement. Which is more important, an HSBC BWF World Tour title or a silver medal at the Olympics? I'll leave that up to you to decide, but Kunlavut in the last 2 years has picked up World Championship and that Olympic silver. So in my view, personally, I'd say, yes, I think that's a good enough year.
1-love.
But he can just put the cherry on the cake by picking up another title right here tomorrow. But of course, he just has to get past Kiran George first.
Service over, 1-0.
There is a huge chasm of experience between these two players, with Kunlavut playing on the senior tour a lot more than Kiran. But Kiran right now, oh, that's
2-1.
a very powerful start for him.
Service over, 2-0.
Well, nothing between them right now.
Three, 2.
That's just in. No challenge from
Service over,
Kunlavut. It did look on the edge of the line.
0.
Well, this would be the really standout result for Kiran George if he can pull it off. As I said, it's his first semi-final of the year after those 2 quarter-final appearances, and he's stepped up so far.
4,
Doesn't seem to be
3.
overawed by this first semi at all.
Service over, 4-0.
Kunlavut just playing out these rallies, looking for his opportunity. Well, he's great at court coverage, I mean, anyone that's taken Victor Axelsen to the limit and beaten him has to have pretty fast feet, as you can imagine. And he's willing to play out these rallies with Kiran, hoping that the more inexperienced player will make the mistake. So far, that's very impressive from Kiran George. There's the mistake.
5-4.
Understated player, Vitidsarn. Keeps to himself a lot.
Quickly.
But some have described him as a Cobra-like player, in that he will lie still, but when he needs to attack, he will, and he will in lethal fashion. But certainly well worth his number 5 ranking. And an automatic choice for top seed here in Korea this week. Good pick up at the nets.
Service
Just
over.
out. He is playing with a drift, that
5.
slight drift behind him. Kunlavut.
Service over. 6-5.
It's definitely gone long.
7-5. Eight, 5. Nine, 5.
And so the Cobra strikes. Just upped his play a little bit, starting to push the tempo, and it just overwhelmed Kiran George enough to create a 4-point deficit leading into this first mid-game interval. It's been competent, comprehensive workout. That's a great return from Kiran.
6-9.
Pushed it wide.
Service over.
10-6.
10-6.
And so 11-6 at the break. And just when you thought that Kiran might be getting an upper hand, Kunlavut strikes back.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So
11-6.
back on court for the resumption of court of
Left.
game one. Oh, it's a wonderful shot, just wide.
Service over.
But that little slice from Kunlavut,
11.
tricky. Fast reflexes from Kunlavut, and he finds his opportunity, powers it down the line.
Service over. 12-7.
Well, Thailand and India, two nations that have absolutely blossomed in terms of badminton over the last decade now. And all of it from talismanic figures that have really set forward. There was Boonsak Quantana, of course, Ratchnok Intanon for Thailand. It has unleashed an entire generation of players. And for India, PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal that really set the wave of talent coming through. And they've still got a long way to go in terms of badminton nations to match the prowess and the feats of the likes of Indonesia and China, but well, I mean, it's exciting times for certain likes of Supanita Ketong, Busanan and Bangrumfan, Pornpawee Chochawong from the women's singles.
Service over. 8-13.
Well, that's a good response from George. Oh, that's a wonderful return. And just his technique. Just have a look at it. If we do have a look at it again, the way he finds his position on court, steps into it, and just look at the change of his body shape now. Steps back, turns his body, and fires it. That's straight into the corner. Wonderful exhibition stuff from Vitidsarn. 14-8 up and looking untroubled in this first game. That's out. Kiran George just a little bit impetuous, a little enthusiastic, wants to get back into this, but against a player like Kunlavut, that could literally mean that he's just burying himself. 15-8 down after being pretty much level pegged up to 5 or 6 points. And Kunlavut just stepped into a different gear. Been solid defensively. As I said, he's been lethal in attack. That was great from Kiran, but again, a good pickup from Kunlavut. Almost again, just forces that last shot a bit too far. Kunlavut, I think, knows all he has to do is really keep his defense on par. And wait for Kiran to make a mistake. Oh, that's such a beautiful shot.
17.
What a beautiful view.
8.
Look at this. That was good enough, but that just left it right to the last minute. It was all about where that racket head was going to go. You thought for a second it was going to go down the line. That's an equally beautiful shot from George.
9.
But he is chasing this game now. Left that long.
Kiran George challenges.
First challenge for Kiran George.
Out.
Looked close, but I don't think he's going to find any joy here.
Challenge unsuccessful. 1 challenge remaining. Service over. 18-9.
Well, it did look like a bridge too far for him. So Kunlavut 3 points away from securing this first game. And he's done it in some style.
(19-9).
Well, Wang Zhengxing or Cho Kyun-yop, the players, they'll be fighting for the second spot in the final. That match coming up a little bit later on in today's program. Do stick around for it.
Service over. 10-19.
Slim chance for Kiran George, but I just can't see him holding Vitidsarn at 19 points. Well, if he keeps playing like that, then he might be able to do it.
11.
That was a wonderful cross-court winner.
19.
And that one's in too.
12-19. Service over. 20. Game point 12.
8 game points for View. Great cut shot there. And George has pushed that wide. 21-12 in just 18 minutes.
Kunlavut Vitidsarn, 21-12. Vitidsarn. Kiran. Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
So, change of ends, and I fully expect Kunlavut to open up even more now that he's on this side of the court. Though that drift has been negligible, it's always better to play into the wind, and that's what he's going to be doing right now. Kiran George with a lot of questions needs to be answered. Now, of course, the question is, when you're playing the world champion, and that's what I mean about opening up. Look at Kunlavut, he's doubled his tempo. Oh, highlight reel clearance didn't quite work out for him.
1 love.
Well, the question for Kiran George, as I said, when you're playing a player of Kunlavut's ability is, do you keep doing what you're doing, which of course lost you that first game, or do you keep trying to play ambitious shots and outpush him? Now, his success rate in the first game was not really encouraging, as at times he did try to play the ambitious shots. Well, it's about 50-50 as to whether they land in or not. Well, that's a great shot into front. Caught just on the left side, and he's 3-love up. That's wonderful from Kiran. Not only was that of decent enough power, but it was just out of reach of Kunlavut. As I said, his court coverage is great. So to actually put something out of his reach is a great testament to some skill from Kiran George. Court getting a bit of a wipe down now. He can himself just settle his mind.
Service over.
Mistake there, and Kunlavut's on the board.
4.
Finished that off really nicely.
2, 4.
Good play from George, but just can't keep that consistency going.
4.
He had a good position set up just in front of the net. But you have to keep those shots as consistent as possible. Not just against Kunlavut, against pretty much everyone. So Vitidsarn now ties it up at 4.
17-15.
Kiran George at full extension. That's going to go long. And it has. So Kunlavut with his first lead in the second game.
Kiran George, challenges.
Oh, not quite yet. Kiran George has used one of his challenges. I don't think, again, he's going to have to be very, very lucky if this one comes through. Looked very clearly out from up here. And it is.
Challenge unsuccessful. 1 challenge remaining. 5-4. Black.
So Kunlavut does get his first lead of the second game. And immediately starts building that lead. Oh, straight to the body from Vitidsarn. Defended well by George, but can't defend the follow-up. And it was this exact point in the first game that Kunlavut started pulling away. Such a high line that Kunlavut is playing right up at the tee. That's bang on the money into the corner.
8-4.
It is just a carbon copy of what he did in the first game. He's up the tempo, he's up the quality of his shots. He's just absolutely brimming with confidence. Straight down the line. Just behind Kiran George, very difficult for him to retrieve that. Mistakes beginning to creep in ever more frequently now for George.
4.
And all of a sudden he's 6 points down.
18-19.
Not an easy situation for him at all. to pull those in.
11-4, interval.
Well, I can tell you there's an absolutely cracking match happening on court 2 right now in the mixed doubles. An all-Chinese affair. Tied at 19-all in the third between Cheng Zhang and Goran Chen. Both of them, of course, fighting to play Dejan Ferdinandsha and Gloria Wijaja, who went through earlier today. I can actually see right now, watching that match.
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds. (11-4). Play. (12-4).
As that sails on, it's 13-4.
13-4.
And the probabilities rapidly running out for Kiran George.
Can you show him?
Credit to his fire and his spirit, but just hasn't been compact enough to outwit, so far anyway, Vitidsarn. And you'd have to say that this, at 13 points, Vitidsarn is probably the last chance for Kiran George. If Kunlavut gets to 15 or 16, then there is going to be that air of inevitability about it. Careful from Vitidsarn. And there's once again testament to George for trying to push the world champion. Great court coverage. That's a wonderful point for George.
Kiran George challenges called out.
But he hasn't secured it yet. Line judge has called that out.
What the call, please?
And that is in, and it's in
Correction.
perfectly.
Service over. 5-13. Play.
Well, I can now confirm that it is in fact going to be a repeat of the Macau Open final in the mixed doubles, as Go Xinhua and Chen Fenghui have come in 23-21 in the third on court 2.
14.
That's something to look forward to
6.
for tomorrow's finals. Oh, wonderful return there by Kunlavut.
15.
Plucked it straight out of the air
6.
and sent it cozily into the corner. Oh, look at that, jumping backwards as well. His aerial positioning, quite remarkable at times. pushing the tempo with body shots as well. Just out that time.
Service over. 7-15.
I tried it again. That's how you know that is a very difficult shot indeed. And that just shows you the quality of the previous attempt. Slight glimpse of hope here for Kiran. Again, Kunlavut fires wide.
9-15.
Now it's Kunlavut that's being a little bit impetuous. Under no pressure here. That little hook smash would have been bread and butter for him, really. Just allowing Kiran George back into this game. It's a long way back for the young Indian player. Has to not only fight his way through this game, but he has to win the third as well.
10-15.
Well, that's a run of 3 points for him. It's beautiful. Again, you wouldn't know where it's going to land until he's hit it.
16.
That little bit of deception. It's all down to the racket head. Almost made it.
11-16.
He's charging, Kiran. And that's a medical timeout for Kiran George. Bit of the magic spray on the right hamstring and calf by the looks of it. Quick as always, the medical staff on hand.
11-16.
He managed to outfox Vitidsarn in terms of footwork for sure.
12-16.
And is this the right strategy for him? Well, it's certainly been delivering points. That's 5 in a row now. And you know that old saying, if it isn't broken, why fix it? There's another wonderful point. This time it's a jump smash.
13-16.
Scissor smash, really. So quick to get back in position, Vitidsarn. Absolutely mesmerizing rally, and Kiran George comes through yet again.
16.
Well, I'll admit it, I wasn't fancying his chances at 15-7, but at 16-14, you got to say, he's certainly cracked some code, and Kunlavut looking a little bit pushed now. Can he rise to the occasion and close this out? Serve still with George.
Fourteen, 16. Service over. 17, 14.
Well, he'll be slightly relieved now that that has sailed out. He's got the serve back.
Fault. Service over. 15, 17.
Again, intercepted well. Well, he's pulled to within 1 point.
17.
And this charge from Kiran George has got to be a bit worrying for Vitidsarn in his camp. Intercepting things at mid-court, pushing it through. Got to give credit where it's due. Vitidsarn definitely would have thought he had this in the bag at 15-7. But Kiran George is willing to take the long run. It's all going to come down to these next 2 points. Vitidsarn playing a very high line. Taking it much more carefully now, though. That's beautiful play from Vitidsarn. He's now got control of the point, has he? No mistakes from George. Except that time, he's left that wide. But a fantastic response from Kiran George.
18, 16.
The view pushed to the limit. Breathing heavily now, Kunlavut. He's been run ragged around that court. Kiran George knows he's got absolutely nothing to lose. He's going to put everything and leave everything on this court after a great run this week. Kunlavut, the last seed standing. Lee Cha-hao, Chi Yu-jen, Su Li-yang, Takuma Obayashi, John Hyuk-jin, Jason Tae, Kantafon Wangcharion, all out, first, second round, quarterfinals. It's all up to Kunlavut now.
18, 16.
And let's not forget that 2 of those seeds, the 3rd and the 5th, were taken out by Kiran George.
Service over.
17-18.
18. Thank you. Players on court. Kunlavut, Kiran.
And he's got the bit between his teeth now. Again, crucial point coming up right now. Kiran George can secure this and tie it up at 18. And it's going to be a massive boost to his psychological condition. Wow, Kunlavut knew how important that point was. And he's even broken a string, I think. Yes, he has,
17.
en route to doing it. This was the setup shot there. Nice push. Drags Kiran off to the left side. And he fires it into the right. Needed that point. Playing an even higher line now, Vitidsarn. In fact, both players bunched up near the net. Oh, it's gone long.
20.
Well, the narrowest of margins
17.
at the back line. Remember, playing with the drift behind him, Kiran, so that may have literally caught the wind. But it's given Kunlavut 3 match points. 47 minutes they've been on court. Credit to Kiran George for not letting his head dip at all. That looked like it may have been shading out, but Kunlavut plays it in anyway. These are smart shots by Vitidsarn. He knows that when he's on the ground, he's only allowing Kiran George a couple of shots to play. Oh, that's wonderful stuff. That's in.
Service over.
Oh, what a way to save a match point.
18, 20.
Get the serve back, most importantly, but he was definitely in control there, Kiran George, and Kunlavut doing all the running and the chasing. Got absolutely nothing to lose, young Kiran George. I keep saying young Kiran George, when actually Kunlavut is the younger player on court. 24 and 23, yeah. Kunlavut 23 years old, George 24 years old. Which means George is actually the veteran senior here. But of course, the experience that they both picked up is the difference. Oh, he's done it again. That's a fantastic shot.
19.
Kunlavut now with a challenge.
Kunlavut challenges called in.
Well, if this is called out, then that is match. And it's not. It's as in as it can be, really.
Challenge unsuccessful. One challenge remaining.
Well, can Kiran George force extra points
19-20.
and then a third and deciding game?
Play.
It's literally in his hands with the serve. Well, what's been really amazing about Kiran George is he's cut his unforced error rate to 0 and has now forced extra points.
20.
I can't remember. I think the last time he made a mistake was about 6 points ago, but he's kept it very tight indeed. He's also added quality to those shots and is fully deserving of this chance. Extra points for Kunlavut, 3 match points saved for Kiran George. That's out.
Service over.
So match point number 4. Oh, looks, is that a challenge coming in?
Kiran George
Yes.
challenges. Called out.
Wow, Kunlavut is looking at the umpire thinking that was a very late call indeed. He'd already got the shuttle ready for his serve. Again, absolutely pivotal. That is out.
Challenge unsuccessful. No challenges remaining.
No challenges left for
Service
Kiran
over.
George.
21.
And it's match point number 4 for Kunlavut. Comes the power again in the end. It's just a delicate disguised drop shot from Vitidsarn that gives him the match, but what a performance from Kiran George in that second game. He's contributed to some of that sweat you can see on Kunlavut's forehead. The rest of it was from the game, but a bit of that sweat was from Kiran George, who cut his unforced error rate to pretty much 0.
Match won by Kunlavut
And then started pushing his points. I think we're going to see a lot more from Kiran George in 2025. And a sigh of relief from Vitidsarn as he makes the final. 22-20. 53 minutes on court. There's confirmation of it. Kunlavut through. Number 1 seed is through to the final. And will we see the number 1 seed in the women's singles also make it through to the final? Because she's up next. There she is, Tomoka Miyazaki against Han Xianzi. It's coming up. Don't miss it. Welcome back to our continuing live coverage of the Korea Masters 2024. We're into match 4 here on semi-final Saturday. It's the women's singles. Tomoka Miyazaki has been headline maker of late. #1 seed here this week, taking on Han Jianzi from China. So looking at the women's singles draw, and it was pretty comprehensive stuff for Tomoka and Han in the quarterfinals, straight games winners.